See, let us say that I have a try block as a risky code. So I'm placing the risky code in this try block. I have a catch block, right? I'm going to use two catch blocks. This is catch 1, this is catch 2. Try block followed by two catch blocks, right? So this is a risky code. So this is one of the famous interview question. Please pay some attention. This is a risky code. Here I am using a class called exception. In this case, in the second catch blocks, I am using a class called arithmetic exception. Exception A, or I can say A. This is case 1. So let me write a case 2. So case 2 is going to be like just a little adjustment. So I'm keeping the arithmetic exception here, and I'm keeping the exception here. Exception. So this is one of the interview questions that I have faced, and I am asked to tell which one is correct, which code is correct. This is code 1, this is code 2. Which one is correct? Which one is justified? Which code is justified? Which one is correct? This one or this one? Right? Risky code is there a single try block and a multi-catch block. It's nothing but try block and multi-catch block, right? But if you see the hierarchy of the catch blocks, here I am using the hierarchy like the parent class exception. I am taking it at the beginning, right? And subsequently the child class exceptions are taking it, in this order fashion. So if you take care, I am keeping the child classes in the top as I go bottom, and I am representing the parent classes. Which one is correct? Just type S in the chat box. If you feel code 1 is correct, type S, type code 1, or if you feel code 2 is correct, type code 2. I will give you the explanation. This is very, very important in handling multi-catch blocks. Code 1 or code 2? Type in the chat box. Code 1 or code 2? Which one is correct? Code 1. Okay. Code 1. Both are incorrect, I think so. Okay, now good answers. And you trying for the try. Understand one thing. See, if the risky code is in this case, I have used exception. If you go back to that exception hierarchy, let me show you that. Open. Okay. So just look at this once. Exception class is a super class for all the exceptions. Runtime exception, class not found exception. If you're defining a catch block, if you're defining multiple catch block, please, we will have to make sure that, right, the first the catch block 1, catch 1. So let us say that I have 3 catch blocks, catch 2, catch 3. The topmost catch block should have the specific exception, and as you go bottom, the exception should be generalized exception. What do you mean by that? Right? For example, topmost catch block should have specific exceptions. In this case, if I am having arithmetic exception here, right, the catch 2 block, parent of arithmetic exception is what? Runtime exception. I can have runtime exception here. Catch 3. Parent of runtime exception is what? Exception. Right? It should be, the flow should be like specific exception to the generalized exception. Arithmetic exception is specific. Runtime exception is generalized exception to arithmetic exception, because runtime exception is what? Parent class of arithmetic exception. Likewise, these both exceptions are subclasses of exception class. So exception class is a parent of runtime exception as well as arithmetic exception. We can say grandparent of arithmetic exception and parent of runtime exception. The hierarchy should be starting from the child to the parent class. It also say that most specific to the most generalized. Simple word, child to parent class. Why it should be like this, I will explain you. Right? So if you now take this scenario, right? So here in the top order I have placed exception class. Here directly I have placed a parent. Right? The second exception is an handler class, which is a child. Parent child, this scenario is not possible in exception handler. It should be child parent. The topmost catch block should be a child, and the following catch block should be its parent, or it could be same. This is how the hierarchy should be. So in this case, code 2 is valid. Why this is valid, I will explain you. For example, let us say that this risky code is generating arithmetic exception. Right? This arithmetic exception is generated, and it will analyze each and every catch block, right? So this arithmetic exception will be caught directly by this exception block, this exception class. This is potential enough to handle this arithmetic exception, right? If this is handling directly, so there is no point of keeping this exception in the bottom. Right? Directly this exception can be handled here. What I mean to say is, when arithmetic exception is generated, this will be directly handled by the first catch block. Exception class is potential enough to handle this exception because it is the parent of all the exceptions. But if everything is if this exception is handled by this handler block, this will not get any chance to handle any exceptions, right? This handle. Right? So let me give you another example. This is one of the typical example. See, this is an ecosystem, right? And there is a path. If you see this path, the first gate is opened for cat, and the second gate is opened for leopard, and the third gate is opened for lion. For example, it's an analogy, okay? It's a very simple analogy. If you are sending a rat, you're just sending a rat inside this cage, right? This rat is something that will be handled by cat. Cat is going to consume this, or you can say that cat is going to catch this, right? It will be handled by this cat directly. So this leopard will not get chance, and this lion will not get chance, because this is something, cat is something, it is very specific to, rat is something that is very specific to cat. It will be handled by this directive, right? Likewise, if you send deer, cat cannot handle this deer. It's not going to consume because it is it is very strong, and cat is a little weak compared to deer. Right? So cat is going to ignore this deer, and by the time it comes here, leopard is going to consume this. This will handle, because this is something very specific to leopard. Like leopards are capable enough to handle this. Likewise, if you send a buffalo, right? Do you think cat is going to handle buffalo? No. Buffalo He is strong enough to kick the cat. And Buffalo is strong enough to kick the leopard. Difficult. At last, lion. Lion is powerful enough to handle buffalo. Right? Third case. This is acceptable. Right? So let me put back this to the cases. What if you try to change this hierarchy? So if you are trying to place the lion in the top, and if you are trying to place the cat in the last, now let the leopard be in the same place. Let the leopard be in the same place. Hmm. So I'm just interchanging their positions.
My screen not visible now.
Okay. Now I am just interchanging the positions. Right? Now if I send rat, right? Rat is something lion is capable enough to consume the rat. If I send the deer is something like lion will be consumed. If I send buffalo, buffalo is something that will be consumed by lion. I have just interchanged the positions. I'm keeping the lion in the entrance. Right? Lion is capable to consume all the three things. Do you think this leopard and this cat is going to get any chances? No, isn't it? It's not going to get any chances. Right? The same thing applies for exception handling as well. The same thing applies in exception handling as well. Okay? I hope this example is making sense. So that's why if you want to specify the multiple catch blocks in the exception handling, right? If the exception is something like system dot out dot println 10 divided by 0. This is exception handling. So try if I am using multi catch blocks, the first catch block should be very specific. Specific in the sense, in this case, it should be arithmetic exception. Right? Followed by the generalized handler, exception handler, which is exception. Right? Then I can say system dot out dot println. Let me recorrect this. System dot out dot println arithmetic exception. Right? In this case, system dot out dot run. I can say instead of arithmetic exception, I can say specific handler, generalized handler. I run this is making some sense because it is generating arithmetic exception and the first class block is going to handle the specific exception, isn't it? But what if I try to interchanges? If I keep exception here, and if I keep arithmetic exception here, let's see, it is giving me an error. What it says, unreachable code. This is the unreachable code. At any point of time, right, this arithmetic exception will not get any chance to handle this. Do you think it will get any chance to handle this code, handle this exception? It will not get any chance. Because if you see the previous block is capable enough to handle all exceptions. Any kind of exception, that will be handled by the first exception block. If all the exceptions is being handled by this exception handler, then do you think the second catch block is going to get any chance? That's why it is called as what? Unreachable block, unreachable block, unreachable catch block. Right? If you go back to that example, so I have just changed the hierarchy. If you see here, I have just changed the hierarchy. Lion is here and leopard is here and cat is here, right? Whatever the animals that I am sending into the cage, the first gate, the second gate, and third, all the three gates are open. The lion is going to eat all the animals. Whatever I pass, lion will be eating. Do you think this leopard and cat is going to get any chance? In this analogy, I can say that this is the what? This is the exception. This is a parent exception. This is generalized thing. Lion is going to eat everything. Generalization, right? And leopards and cats, they are very special. They are specialization. The cat is like it eats only cats. It's very specialized, right? Sometimes it will also what steals food in the house. It's very special in that. Like you see leopard will but can handle only. In this example, it's going to handle only deer. Likewise, like this hierarchy, by changing the positions, right, these two animals are not going to get any chance, right? It will die in hunger. Like, that's why the hierarchy should be like in the this way. This is a perfect hierarchy, right? This is a perfect hierarchy. Then rat, cat will handle. Then deer, leopard will handle. Then buffalo, right? And this is a real-time example. So the answer can be like in the multi-catch block. This is a famous interview question. The specific exceptions should be placed at the top of the hierarchy. Catch block hierarchy followed by the generalized exception. And if the question is why this has to happen? If the question is, if they ask you why you need to do this, if you are not doing this, if you are doing the opposite, if you are placing the generalized exception on the top and the specific exception on the bottom, the specific exceptions in the bottom will not get any chance. This code is called as the not reachable code. This catch block will not get any chance. This catch block is not reachable because all the exceptions that is getting generated will be handled directly by this generalized catch block. This catch block is not going to get any chance. Now, if I ask you the same question, I think you are able to answer this, isn't it? Okay, this is one of the famous interview question. More than out of 10 interviews, at least in 8 interviews, these questions are